Hello, welcome to day 4 of Inspiring um, Insight, Soulful-Insight. I am really excited about today because today is all about our emotional well-being. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I think that now more than ever before in the past, we don't have to keep bringing it up what's going on, but um, emotional well-being is really important right now. And gosh, sometimes no matter how hard we try, we're gonna kind of get thrown off. And some of the most common things that people are trying to figure out is how do I find that balance? And that's what I want to talk about today. Um, if you're unfamiliar with who I am, my name is Lesley-Pazdzioch. I am the founder of Inspiring Creative Insight, and I am all about spiritual growth um, and personal development and how we can really change our lives from the inside out through by creating our own unique connection to the divine source, to what draws us, what we believe gave us life, and how we're connecting, right? And so the first thing I want to talk about, when it comes to our emotional well-being, um, I think it's really vital that we the first thing that we do is we need to start paying attention to our surroundings, right? And to the best of our abilities, we need to start focusing on making sure that we surround ourselves with things that bring us joy. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I wanted to get more. I wanted to just really talk more about it today. And what I mean by this is, look at your environment and how does your environment make you feel? Not only uh, physical senses, and how is it making you feel in the situations? Because those are the key, your feelings, using all of your physical senses and really paying attention to if you're feeling uneasy, is it something, what is it that you're uneasy about? Is it something that you're listening to that you're not really truly internally believing is the fact? Is it something that you're looking at that's not bringing, doesn't feel right or feel safe for you? We have this internal guidance system that really is there to help us move through our lives. And sometimes most of the time, 90% of the time, we let our external circumstances dictate our internal well-being. And that's where I think that a lot of what's happening, I think it has a large effect on what's happening globally. And if we could all just learn to start tuning inward and looking inside of ourselves and saying, what's going on here that's not resonating with me? And I'm having such anxiety, or I'm having depression. These symptoms are real right now. People are really suffering hard with these symptoms. And let's take a look at those two things, like depression and anxiety. We all know that depression is, looking back in our lives and saying, feeling regretful or wishing something hadn't happened. Um, and then we try to think, how can we heal from it? And one of the things that I think is really important for us to understand, that was a light bulb for me personally, is when I looked back and I thought, wait a minute, I'm trying to heal an experience from my past so that I can move forward, but I've already moved forward. I've already moved forward. That's in my past. So what's keeping me connected to that experience? Because it somehow it's holding on to me, and I'm feeling depression because I'm not over it. But in reality, I was over it, and we are over it. And We've moved forward because it could be the next year, the next day, the next minute, the next hour, the next decade. We've already moved past that experience. So whatever that experience was out to teach us, or whatever we were supposed to gain from that experience, we've already, our bodies have this internal system, this internal press to learn from, and automatically we, it's already added to who we are as an individual. It's already increased our strength. It's already done everything's taken care of. That's why we have this really nice internal guidance system, right? So then we think, well, then what's holding me there? Why do I feel the feelings that I'm feeling? If that's true, then why am I feeling this way? That's just not true. And when I really looked at these things, and I thought, it's the thought. It's our own thinking process. And when we realize, we feel fine when we don't think about it. It's only when we think about it that we start not feeling. But when that's not a thought that's in our minds, then it's obviously we're functioning in our lives. So how do we get to the point where we can put that aside, right? Without having to go back and relive it. How do we put that aside? And I think for me at least, I was holding on to the situations because I thought I was responsible. I was trying to take responsibility for something that wasn't mine to be taken responsibility for. Or I wasn't holding myself accountable for my actions. And it was weighing heavy on me with regret. So those are two keys for us to really pay attention to. So let me say that again. We're either holding on to something that's not ours to hold on to, not our responsibility, or we're holding on to something because we have regret and we need to work through that. And internally, we've already taken care of it, or we've already done it, because emotionally, that's where we come out emotions. That's what our emotions are for. So the next thing is, this one really gets me. It's when we think about anxiety. And we all know that anxiety is a feeling that we have when we're fearful of the future. We're anxious about what's coming. We're anxious, we don't even know what's coming, right? And the interesting part of it is that we never know what the future holds. And we miss out on right now, because right now is really what's important, because it's right now that determines the future. And if we're stressed out and anxious about what's coming, then we're going to bring on the situations that whatever we're worried about, we're making it happen because we're rolling it over in our heads. And we'll keep thinking and thinking and thinking about what we're fearing or what we're anxious about. We'll keep it in our minds and in our heads, and we won't stop until we create it. And then we're going to guarantee ourselves, see, I told you, this is what happened. This is where I was anxious. We're going to reconfirm our feelings. So we really need to step back and really look at, our depression, when we're feeling that depression, and when we're feeling that anxiety, and realize that this is where we are, right here, right now, and we really have the ability to connect with that part of us, that internal guidance system, that part of us that has us knowing that we're here on this earth to live in joy and to live in prosperity and to grow and learn and expand with others around us, like-minded individuals. And when we surround ourselves with things that aren't um, bringing us joy, or that are bringing us, helping us become better people. And we're surrounding ourselves with situations and and uh, in environments that are causing more fear, more stress, more anxiety, uh, things that we're going to keep looking for, because that's what we're giving our attention to, right? It, so try really hard for the next day, whenever you're just before even the anxiety or the depression starts to set in, to ask yourself, what is it that you want to experience at each moment of your day? What is your intention? Set an intention for the day. What is my intention for the day? Ask for guidance. And when the anxiety and the depression start to come into play, I always tell myself, all is well. All is well. Close your eyes and breathe. Sit up straight, just breathe, and say to yourself, really, settle your emotions, and help you redirect your focus, redirect your thoughts, whatever you want to. Um, we can visualize, we can meditate, we can set intentions. I mean, all these things are great. We can pray, but most of all, we have to really respect ourselves. We have to really look at ourselves and say, what am I worth? What is my life worth to me? This is a key part of well-being. What is your life worth to you? What does your personal value mean to you? And sometimes we keep ourselves in situations, I know that I have personally, that when the situation isn't of benefit to us, it's not feeding our souls, it's not adding to our value. And we keep staying in these situations or having these environments with us, and blaming, the things around us for our disharmony within us. But we need to, because we put the blame on somebody or something else, but we need to understand, when I realized that when I kept myself in situations that weren't good for me or that weren't a benefit for me, I was just as guilty as they were, because I was guilty for letting those types of things remain, a part of my life. That's huge. And let me say that again. When a situation or environment in our lives is negatively affecting us or harmful for us, and we're blaming the situation of the person, we really need to start looking and saying, but I'm staying here. I'm allowing it. So that makes us just as guilty and even more responsible, because this is our life, right? This is about us and what we want. And we want to feel our bliss and our happiness. And the best way to do that is really paying attention to our emotional well-being. We have our self-care and we have our soul care. That means we have to take care of ourselves, physically and in our environment. But we also have a great responsibility to take care of ourselves on a soulful level, right? We have to really look at our souls and say, what is in the best interest of not only my physical being, but what is in the best interest of my soulful growth, my spiritual or religious, whichever direction you take. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But what is it that's in my best interest? How am I going to how am I going to be the best me I can be at every moment? How can I go about that? I have to have my well-being, my personal well-being, which is our physical, our emotional, or in our external environments, right? Whatever's surrounding us, whatever we do with ourselves. But then we also have our soulful responsibility for our soulful well-being, what's going on internally, emotionally, within our, that innate part of us that is everlasting, that soulful part of us that's connected to everybody and everything else around me. The soulful part, we're all connected through our souls because we all came from the same place, right? Tomorrow on day 5, I'm gonna talk about this a little more, but in reality, we're physical beings, but or we're souls, but really we're all interconnected. And however we treat ourselves, we're treating others as well, right? We're putting what we're saying, if this is all I'm worth, then we're saying to other people, this is all that you're worth. If you're saying I'm worth more, and this is what happiness feels like, then we're putting out and showing people and growing that happiness expectation. I hope that really makes a little bit, I hope that makes some sense. So really, I would just like to reiterate really quickly, emotional well-being. What is our emotional well-being? And really start paying attention to, our environments, what we're exposing ourselves to. Really pay attention to your physical intuition. Pay attention to your intuition, and if you're not feeling, sit down. This is, and people say, well, let me address this too. People will say to me, but Lesley, I've been going with the flow for so long, and I don't even really know what you're talking about. How do I know that I'm going with the flow? How do I know that this is the right thing for me? But if we personally connect to or think about your inner spark, right? That divine, soulful inner spark that is all loving, all giving, that beautiful, perfect person, your ideal you, right? That when we said earlier, we looked at who am I? What is that core being? What is that goodness, the core of who I am? My morals, my values, the standards of my life, the things that I want to create, the goodness that I want to be, all of this. That is say that's your divine inner spark. That is what lights you on fire. What is that? What does that look like, right? And then focus on that. Focus on what that feels like. What does it feel like to be and to act and to exemplify that aspect of me? And how can I now bring this into my everyday life? How can I make this a part of my everyday life? It's by treating yourself first with kindness, love, and dignity, so that you treat others that way. When we don't treat ourselves kindly, we're not going to treat other people kindly. We really don't. And sometimes we think we're doing things for other people, but we're not treating ourselves well. But we're really not. We're doing it unjust when we're not really looking at our own best interest, because whatever we're doing for other people isn't really genuine. And we're doing it because we think that's what they want. Well, have you ever done something for somebody and they turn around and think, what the hell did you do that for? Right? Sometimes we think we're doing things for the benefit of others or for others, and it's the right thing, but did we do the right thing for us? Was that the right thing for us? And I call this being selfishly selfless. And we'll talk about that a little bit further tomorrow, but I'll just kind of go on it today. Being selfishly selfless. That's huge, right? We're being selfish enough to realize that we, as individuals, have a certain desire, a soulful need, a soulful desire. This is how we want to live our lives, right? This is my ideal. This is my ideal. And I'm going to selfishly live that ideal, being true to me, which means I'm going to be true to you. So when we're true to ourselves, we're going to be true to the other people as well. Because when we look at, say, when we lie to another person, let's use lying as an example. If we lie to another person, that really comes back to us. Because if we are dishonest to others, then inside of us, we're going to know that dishonesty is a part of us, right? If we can't be honest with ourselves, we're not be honest. If we can't be honest with others, how can we learn to trust? How do we trust? How are we going to know the difference of when to share and when not to share, and how much to share about us? Right? You just don't know. You think that and once we start really being honest within ourselves and with ourselves, everything else starts to really start taking on a different perspective. And we start to live more joyously and more happy and more content in our lives when we can do that. And I know that for me it was it was something that and it's an adjustment, and when I went through that and I had this aha moment, I thought, wow. And it actually really makes you feel better about the relationships that you have, especially the relationship you have with yourself, because you're actually working in a spiritual sense with your divine inner being, with your soulful knowing of who and what you are. That answers the question of who am I? Why am I here? And what's this life all about? But once we start connecting, and it's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. Everything from the past that we've experienced, they were lessons to give us blessings to make us better as we go forward. Those things are already with us. We don't have to keep rehearsing the past that's already done for us. We've already taken care of it. We just have to let ourselves accept and take responsibility for either holding on and holding ourselves accountable for things that weren't ours. And 95% of the time, that's what we're doing. We think, we're depressed because of something that happened in the past, thinking, God, if I would have known different, if I would have done this, if I would have done that, But we're taking responsibility for another person's actions that's not ours. And we're walking around carrying, do you want to go to the airport, carry on somebody else's luggage? I don't. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're carrying somebody else's baggage, and it gets really heavy. So if we can look back and just say, what portion of this is mine, and how am I taking responsibility for somebody else's stuff, and what part of this is really mine that I need to hold myself accountable for, so I can learn and receive the blessing from that lesson and move forward in my life. So we're here. That's why we're here, just to love ourselves and be good to ourselves, be honest to ourselves, because when we start within, when we live from the inside out, this is the result is phenomenal. Selfishly selfless. That means that we're selfish enough to worry about our inner being, about our well-being, about our happiness, about our truth, our honesty, our integrity, our lives, ourselves. We're going to be selfishly selfless. Selfless meaning it's not about ego. I can admit when I'm wrong. I'm learning, and I really honor and respect you. I'm going to be honest with the people and be honest in my dealings and really hold myself accountable and live in integrity and honesty within my personal lives. I'm not going to lie to you still, because when we take on these behaviors. There's like a layer that keeps us and clouds our inner knowing of who we truly are. So in order, when people say, oh, well, who am I? Why am I here? Start like peeling all this garbage off of us so that we can really get to the part of us that's true. And a lot of it's carrying stuff that's not ours. And we learn from our past experiences so that as we go forward, we can live a better, even greater life. So anyway, if you have any questions, please put it in the comment section below. And I just want to encourage you to finish out this really living your most selfishly selfish day. And I'll see you tomorrow. And we're going to talk about religion and spirituality and how to respect both and how we can utilize both to really create that connection within ourselves to what matters the most, right? It's going to be fun. Thank you for joining me and have a great day.